I want you to close your eyes for a second and just picture a health shop from, I don't know, maybe the 1950s.
Oh, wow. Yeah, like just a few dusty bottles on a shelf.
Exactly. A jar of vitamin C, maybe some awful tasting cod liver oil, and that was basically it.
Right.
But contrast that with today, where we're looking at this massive, multi-billion-dollar high-tech industry.
It's completely unrecognizable from those early days.
It really is. And yet, despite all that growth, right now, your body is probably treating that standard daily multivitamin you took this morning as, well, basically an expensive waste product.
Which is a tough pill to swallow, no pun intended.
Oh, right. But it's true. Because the entire supplement industry was built on this one-size-fits-all model that, honestly, it just fundamentally ignores how human biology actually works. We are throwing these generic solutions at highly individualized biological systems.
Yeah, it's a profound mismatch. I mean, the industry basically spent decades operating under this assumption that a human is just a static, predictable machine.
Like a car on an assembly line.
Exactly. Like if you are an adult, you just get the standard adult dose.
Right.
But human physiology is, it's incredibly dynamic.
Right.
It's constantly shifting based on your environment, your genetics, your daily stress levels, which means that a static pill is often, solving a problem you don't even have while completely ignoring the actual deficiencies you do have.
Okay, let's unpack this because that is a massive paradigm shift. Today, we're taking a deep dive into an incredibly comprehensive piece of writing that really maps out where the health and nutrition industry is heading.
It's a fascinating look forward.
It really is. It's written by Arnaud van der Veer, and we need to establish right up front why his vantage point matters so much here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He isn't just sitting in some corporate boardroom somewhere. He's the co-owner of Force One, which is located at SPOO 202 in The Hague. But honestly, more importantly, he is a dedicated biochemist and an aging researcher.
That dual perspective is critical.
Totally. He's a business leader who also possesses this deep, rigorous background in the actual science.
Right, because when you look at the evolution of this industry, you usually have like scientists in the lab isolating compounds and then completely separate business people looking at market scale.
Right. They don't always talk to each other.
Exactly. But Arnaud combines those lenses. I mean, he has been hands-on since the early days, seeing how raw materials interact biologically, while simultaneously understanding the clinical trials and, the actual logistics of getting those solutions to individuals.
So our mission for this deep dive is to explore the fundamental revolution he identifies in his work. We're going to look at how the industry is pivoting away from mass production toward these hyper-personalized, AI-driven health protocols.
It's going to change everything.
It really is. We want to figure out what this means for your daily routine, how technology is about to change what you consume, and ultimately how it impacts your longevity. But to appreciate the scale of this shift, I think we need a quick look at the foundation.
Makes sense. We have to know where we came from.
Right. So we started with those very basic vitamins in the mid-20th century.
Yeah, and the trajectory really accelerated with the bodybuilding subculture.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that was like the first massive jolt that proved there's a huge market for targeted sports nutrition. And that success just led to a massive boom in contract manufacturing.
So suddenly anyone can make a supplement.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyone with some capital could spin up a brand overnight. And then, the internet and social media democratize access, allowing consumers to buy products from anywhere on the planet.
The downstream effect of that, though, was this massive saturation of mass market products. And I want to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If I'm listening to this, I might think, well, hasn't that basic multivitamin approach worked fine for decades? I mean, it's like wearing a one-size-fits-all poncho at a rainy football game.
A poncho. Okay, I like where this is going.
Right. Like, it's a bit baggy. It definitely doesn't look tailored. But hey, it mostly keeps me dry.
Yeah.
So why dismantle a system that generally functions for most people?
See, the poncho analogy actually illustrates the problem perfectly.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, because a poncho just sits on the surface. It's an external barrier. But nutrition is internalized.
Ah, right.
It interacts with your cellular machinery, your organs, and even the expression of your DNA. The scientific research now makes it unavoidably clear that on a microscopic level, your nutritional needs are radically different from the person sitting next to you.
It's not just about height and weight anymore.
Not at all. It goes far beyond that. Age, biological sex, genetic predispositions, what you ate for dinner last night, and even your cortisol levels all fundamentally alter how your cells utilize nutrients.
So, sticking with the analogy, a one-size-fits-all nutritional poncho might actually be leaving you completely soaked where it actually counts.
Exactly. If you are a 20-year-old lifting weights heavily 5 days a week, your cellular turnover and energy expenditure require a very specific recovery protocol.
And that protocol would be entirely inappropriate for a 70-year-old whose primary physical activity is a daily walk, right?
100%. The senior's biological priority is likely mitigating inflammation and supporting joint health, not, driving massive muscle protein synthesis.
That makes total sense.
And even if we just look at dietary choices, if you are a strict vegan, your biochemical pathways might be starved of specific B vitamins or bioavailable iron compared to someone who consumes meat daily.
Right. The baseline is completely different.
Exactly. And when you layer on variables like menopause, sleep deprivation, or medication use, the whole concept of a standard dose becomes practically meaningless.
So the central question of the entire industry is therefore completely shifting. We are no longer asking what is the best supplement on the market.
No, that's the old way of thinking.
The only question that matters now is what fits you best, right here, right now.
And that right there is the threshold of true personalized nutrition. The paradigm is moving from a model of mass production to individual, highly tailored biological interventions.
Which, that brings up a massive logistical problem.
It definitely does.
If we know everyone requires something different, how do we actually look under the hood to figure out what you specifically need without just, throwing darts at a board?
Well, Arnaud's research points to our biological fingerprint. And a major piece of that puzzle is nutrigenetics.
Nutrigenetics. Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah, so nutrigenetics focuses on how specific variations in your genetic code influence the way your body absorbs, metabolizes, and excretes nutrients.
Okay, so it takes nutrition from being generalized advice to hard biological science.
Precisely.
The specific example of caffeine from the source material is a really great way to understand this, I think. We all know someone who can drink a double espresso right after dinner and then sleep flawlessly.
Oh yeah, those people are wild.
Right. And then you have someone else who has half a cup of coffee at noon and feels anxious until midnight.
And for a long time, people thought that was just in their head. But that difference is not psychosomatic at all. It is structural.
So it's literally in their DNA.
Exactly. It comes down to variations in a specific gene called CYP1A2.
CYP1A2.
Yeah. This gene controls the production of an enzyme in your liver that is responsible for clearing caffeine from your bloodstream.
So if you have one specific genetic variant,
then your liver manufactures a highly efficient version of this enzyme. You are what we call a fast metabolizer. The caffeine is cleaved and cleared out rapidly.
but if you have the other variant, you're a slow metabolizer, so the caffeine just circulates, binding to receptors in your brain for hours.
Which can potentially raise your heart rate and trigger a prolonged cortisol release, yeah.
Wow. And researchers are mapping these exact kinds of genetic mechanisms for everything, right? Like how we process vitamin D, how our bodies handle saturated fats, and even how efficiently we clear lactic acid during exercise.
They are. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to exercise extreme caution regarding consumer DNA tests.
Oh, you mean like those kits you buy online?
Exactly. Arnaud specifically warns against the overpromising in this sector.
Right, because people think it's a magic bullet.
Yeah, you cannot simply spit into a tube, mail it to a lab, and expect an algorithm to print out your perfect diet. DNA only reveals your predisposition.
It's just the blueprint.
Right, it is a blueprint. It shows potential, but it does not predict your future health.
Because the blueprint doesn't build the house. Like,
Yeah.
if my DNA says I have a genetic predisposition for poor vitamin D synthesis, that information is practically irrelevant if I happen to work outdoors on a sunny beach every day.
Exactly. Your lifestyle overrode the genetic disadvantage.
Right.
Your genes interact constantly with your environment. That's a field known as epigenetics. So an analysis based solely on a static DNA test is, well, it's remarkably limited.
So you need more data.
You need a lot more data. The true power of this only materializes when clinical experts combine your genetic blueprint with real-time blood values, your current dietary habits, and your medical history. That synthesis is where you actually find actionable insight.
And that synthesis leads us right into the second major component of our biological fingerprint, which is honestly the most fascinating frontier in science right now.
The gut microbiome.
Yes, the gut microbiome. We have moved way past the basic understanding of digestion. We are talking about trillions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses that act almost like an organ themselves.
It really is a highly active metabolic center. I mean, these microorganisms are fermenting the dietary fibers that human enzymes cannot break down on their own.
And what happens during that fermentation?
In that process, they produce what are called short-chain fatty acids like butyrate.
Butyrate.
Yeah, and these fatty acids are critical because they literally provide the primary energy source for the cells lining your colon. They maintain the integrity of your gut lining and heavily regulate systemic inflammation.
And we are seeing intense scientific focus on the gut-brain axis too, right? It isn't just about avoiding an upset stomach anymore.
Not at all. The bacteria in your gut are communicating with your brain via the vagus nerve. They're actually influencing the production of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine.
That is wild. So your gut health is directly tied to your mood, your focus, and even your stress resilience.
Which is exactly why the nutritional focus has evolved so much. We aren't just talking about basic probiotics anymore. We're looking at prebiotics.
The food for the bacteria.
Right, the specific fibers required to selectively feed beneficial bacteria. And we're even exploring postbiotics now.
Wait, postbiotics, what are those?
Well, instead of hoping a live bacteria survives your stomach acid to ferment fiber in the gut, postbiotics just deliver the beneficial metabolic byproducts like those short-chain fatty acids directly to the system.
Oh, that makes so much sense. Cut out the middleman. And what's remarkable here is that Arnaud van der Veer wasn't just sitting back predicting this future, he was actively engineering it.
Yeah, he was way ahead of the curve on this.
The text highlights that as far back as 2010, he was running successful trials using this exact personalized model.
2010. I mean, think about where the industry was back then.
It was barely a blip, but he was utilizing extensive questionnaires, analyzing blood work, and mapping DNA profiles to create personalized daily packets of nutrition for individuals.
Executing that level of granular personalization in 2010 was exceptionally ahead of the industry curve. It required immense logistical effort to collaborate with medical practices and laboratories just to ensure the data was actionable and rigorous.
The source material specifically details his work with Dr. Mao at ZOST University in China, which led to the development of the age control line.
Right, the age control line.
And this wasn't about generic vitamins. It was an entire range focused deeply on preventative, healthy aging based on targeted biological feedback. It's such a tangible example of taking complex biochemical research and turning it into a physical protocol to extend health span.
It is. But, even with cutting-edge protocols like age control, the microbiome remains a moving target.
What do you mean?
Well, the microbial composition of your gut is constantly altered. By your age, a single course of antibiotics, a period of high psychological stress, or even just changing your diet for a few days.
Oh, so it's not a static thing.
Not at all. Because of this continuous flux, there is absolutely no such thing as a single, universal ideal microbiome that we should all be striving for. It is highly individualized and constantly adapting.
Okay, but this presents a massive bottleneck.
Huge.
We have your static genetic code, we have your constantly shifting microbiome data, we have blood panels, sleep metrics, dietary logs. I mean, if I hand that mountain of data to my local doctor, they're going to laugh me right out of the office.
You wouldn't even know where to start.
Exactly. It's too much information for a human brain to cross-reference efficiently in a standard 15-minute consultation. So how is this actually processed in a viable way?
This is where artificial intelligence comes in, to bridge the gap between individual personalization and mass scalability.
Okay, AI.
AI acts as the connective analytical tissue. An algorithm can analyze all those disparate data piles like your slow caffeine metabolism, your sleep architecture, and your elevated inflammatory markers, and then cross-reference them against thousands of newly published scientific papers in a matter of seconds.
So an AI could notice that, say, I've been waking up at 3 a.m. for a week, cross-reference my wearable data with my genetic profile, and determine that the late afternoon workout supplement I take is staying in my system too long.
And that's what's disrupting your deep sleep.
Exactly. It connects dots that are practically invisible to human observation.
It definitely has the computational power to do that, yes.
Yeah.
But, and this is a big but, this raises an important question regarding restraint and context.
Right, we can't just blindly trust the machine.
No, we can't. Arnaud's analysis deliberately questions whether these systems are truly secure and scientifically infallible. AI is a support tool for dietitians and medical professionals. It is emphatically not a replacement for clinical judgment.
Because AI is notorious for finding statistical correlations and just assuming they are causal.
Oh, absolutely.
The classic example is that ice cream sales and sunburns both spike in July. A poorly trained algorithm might look at that and conclude that eating ice cream causes sunburns.
Right, which is absurd.
Exactly. If an AI applies that kind of flawed logic to human biology, it could recommend conflicting or even dangerous combinations of supplements based on really bad correlations.
That is exactly the danger. The output is entirely dependent on the rigor of the training data and the underlying biological algorithms.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Precisely. Furthermore, when you are feeding an AI your entire genetic sequence and continuous biometric data, the regulatory hurdles regarding privacy, data ownership, and security are just colossal. We have to ensure that this data is protected, not exploited.
Absolutely. And the way we gather that data in real time brings us to wearables.
Yes, the wearable.
Smartwatches, biosensor rings, continuous glucose monitors. Traditionally, taking a supplement was kind of like walking into your house in January, setting the thermostat to 70 degrees, and just leaving it there until June.
That is a highly accurate way to frame it.
It makes no sense because the environment outside is changing, but your intervention inside is totally static. Wearables make your health dynamic.
Yeah, because the traditional medical model involves measuring your blood pressure or weight once every 6 months during a checkup. But wearables measure your physiology continuously.
Every single minute.
Right. They track heart rate variability, or HRV, which is a key indicator of your autonomic nervous system's balance. They monitor respiratory rates, skin temperature, and the specific stages of your sleep.
So if you're listening to this and you've had just a brutal week at work, slept terribly, and your stress levels are through the roof, your wearable knows your physiological baseline is compromised.
To ease the strain.
Right. So a dynamic health system doesn't just tell you to keep taking your standard vitamin pill, it adjusts. It might flag that your recovery is tanking and adapt your customized nutrient pack for the next day to include, I don't know, specific anti-inflammatory compounds or nervous system support.
It adapts in real time to the damage you just took. We're transitioning from a static schedule to a responsive, real-time feedback loop.
It's incredible.
It is. However, this wealth of continuous data also exposes the fundamental flaw in our current global healthcare architecture.
Which is?
Our current system is almost entirely curative.
Meaning, it waits for the engine to blow up before it offers you a mechanic.
Precisely. It is built to diagnose and treat pathology once you're already sick. It is not designed to keep healthy people healthy.
Right, there's no money in healthy people for the traditional system.
Exactly. But the synthesis of AI, continuous wearable monitoring, and targeted biological nutrition is birthing an entirely new profession. We are watching the transition toward true, proactive, preventative health management.
Which is an incredible leap forward, but let's look at the actual tools being used for that management. If the AI and the sensors have calculated precisely what my cells need this morning to recover, that old vitamin C powder from the 50s isn't going to cut it.
No, it's definitely not.
So what are the raw materials that allow for this level of precision?
Well, the sourcing of active ingredients is undergoing its own revolution. Researchers are looking far beyond synthetic vitamins now.
Like what?
Algae, for example. Specifically strains like spirulina and chlorella. They are receiving massive attention. They aren't just green powders to make your smoothie look healthy. They are incredibly dense matrices of bioavailable proteins, essential fatty acids, and really unique antioxidants.
And medicinal mushrooms are at the forefront of this biotechnology too, right?
Oh, absolutely. We are talking about reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps.
Yeah, I see those everywhere now.
Scientists are isolating specific bioactive components from them, like beta-glucans and nerve growth factors, which interact directly with human immune and neurological pathways. We're also exploring marine biology, tapping into ocean organisms for entirely new molecular structures.
And another area that's huge right now is bioactive peptides and precision fermentation.
Yes, peptides are fascinating. They're essentially short chains of amino acids.
Right, so unlike massive, complex protein molecules that require a ton of digestive energy to break down, bioactive peptides are already cleaved.
Exactly. They can bypass heavy digestion and act directly as signaling molecules in the body to repair tissue or modulate the immune response.
This is actually an area where Arnaud van der Veer's early research really stands out again. The text highlights his specific work with glutamine peptides back in 2008.
2008. Again, way ahead of his time.
Yeah, because free-form glutamine is notoriously unstable in liquids, right? And it's poorly absorbed.
It is. But by utilizing the peptide form, the stability and the absorption rates are drastically improved, which allows for far more effective cellular recovery.
It's just another instance where his research was anticipating the direction of modern biotechnology.
And precision fermentation builds on that exact kind of targeted approach.
Right.
Scientists are now programming the genetic code of yeast, bacteria, or fungi to produce highly specific molecules.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, whether that is a rare vitamin, a specialized enzyme, or an amino acid. They literally brew these nutrients, much like brewing beer, resulting in incredibly pure, targeted compounds without relying on massive agricultural footprints.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me, though. The article points out a brilliant irony in all this cutting-edge science.
What's that?
For decades, the modern medical establishment largely dismissed systems like traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda as just mere folk remedies, like, oh, that's just old wives' tales.
Oh yeah, they totally looked down on it.
But now, utilizing advanced molecular assays and AI analysis, modern science is actively validating these ancient practices.
It's full circle.
They are isolating the exact compounds in those traditional plants and mushrooms that the ancients intuitively knew were effective thousands of years ago. Time brings insight.
The historical validation is really compelling. However, identifying a potent new raw material is only half the equation in the modern market.
What's the other half?
The critical mandate now is sustainability. The criteria for a new ingredient is no longer simply, does it work? It is, what is the environmental cost of its production?
Right, the sourcing has to be impeccable. Like, what are the CO2 emissions of the extraction process? How much water was required?
Is the supply chain fully traceable? Can we utilize waste streams from the agricultural sector to synthesize these new compounds?
The raw materials of tomorrow have to be biologically precise and environmentally neutral.
They have to be. And this shift toward rigorous quality and sustainability isn't just driven by consumer demand. Regulatory bodies are fundamentally changing the landscape too.
Oh, they're cracking down.
Big time. The era of slapping a spectacular, unsubstantiated health claim on a bottle is closing. Regulators are demanding hard clinical data before a product can make a specific promise.
Which honestly forces the industry to mature. The companies that survive won't be the ones with the loudest marketing budgets. They will be the ones with verifiable efficacy.
Exactly.
And this maturing industry is serving a completely different demographic than it used to. It's not just the niche bodybuilding crowd anymore.
And not at all. The demographic expansion is staggering. We have an aging global population heavily focused on extending their health span.
Right. Seniors seeking targeted support for cognitive function, bone density, joint mobility.
Yeah, and simultaneously, you have younger generations utilizing electrolytes and nootropics, and even office workers seeking adaptogens to manage chronic stress and sleep disruption.
People are finally recognizing that sleep, stress, diet, and targeted nutrition are all part of one interconnected biological system.
It's all linked.
But if a supplement is just one small tool in that massive system, how does a company actually operate in the future? I mean, they can't just sell a pill and walk away.
No, they can't. The successful organization of the future must transition from being a vendor to being a partner. They must provide a comprehensive health ecosystem.
So you aren't just buying a jar of vitamin D anymore, you are engaging with a service.
Exactly. That service provides the wearable tracking, the AI analysis, the nutritional education, the personalized protocol, and the continuous monitoring to adjust that protocol.
You are partnering with an entity to actively manage your biological capital.
And this systemic shift also requires government intervention. Legislators have to move beyond merely restricting the supplement industry and start actively facilitating these preventative health measures.
Because the alternatives are grim.
Yeah, the compounding pressures of climate change, resource scarcity, and the astronomical financial burden of an aging, chronically ill population mean that proactive health management is no longer optional. It is an economic necessity.
So what does this all mean for you listening? The evolution of this industry is basically a roadmap of our changing understanding of human biology.
We've come a long way.
We really have. We evolved from the basic, dusty vitamins of the 1950s through the mass-market sports nutrition boom straight into the era of continuous biological tracking. We are standing at the intersection of genetics, the microbiome, artificial intelligence, and advanced biotechnology.
The very definition of a supplement is transforming. It is no longer a generalized safety net cast over millions of people.
It's becoming an integrated, dynamic component of a highly personalized program adapting in real time to your unique physiological state.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway from Arnaud's analysis. The greatest medical revolution over the next half-century is not going to be the discovery of a single magical wonder ingredient hidden deep in the rainforest.
Right, there is no magic pill.
The breakthrough is extreme precision. It is our developing ability to match the exact right compound in the precise dosage at the exact required moment to a specific individual's biology.
And the fundamental human desire remains constant, right? We just want to maintain our vitality and function optimally for as long as possible. The technology is finally catching up to that desire.
It is a phenomenal leap forward in human capability.
It truly is. But, it does leave me with a provocative thought that I want you to consider today. If we truly reach a point where our wearable sensors, our AI health agents, and our hyper-tailored daily nutrition packets perfectly optimize every single biological process in our bodies, minute by minute, what happens to our relationship with our own physical intuition?
Oh, that's a deep question.
Right. When an algorithm objectively knows our cellular needs better than we do, will we stop listening to our own internal signals? Will we ignore a craving or a feeling of fatigue simply because the data on our wrist tells us we should be perfectly fine?
Definitely something to think about.
It is something to seriously ponder the next time you reach for that one-size-fits-all bottle. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.